Today I'm here to talk to you about how to teach yourself to code. Teach yourself to code, because I think that is a very important skill for you to have, to be able to learn things on your own. And in this video I'm going to give you 3 steps that you can use in order to teach yourself how to code. Alright, so first step number 1 is to do the basics. So this is the part that you cannot get away from. This is something that you will have to always do. And if you're learning a new programming language, a new framework, a new tool, you always need to go for the basics. So I want you to look for the basic tutorials. I want you to look for the basic examples, just to kind of get a grasp of what you need to understand in that specific technology, because there are certain things that you learn early on that you need to know in order to progress over to the next level. As soon as you learn the basics, stop learning and dive right in. Start practicing, because you can read, you can learn as much as you want, but unless you practice, none of that is going to stick in your mind. So what you want to do right after you finish the beginner's course or the beginner session of the tutorial, anything like that, dive in and start building something. This is step number 2. So in step number 2, you want to start practicing. And here I would advise you to pick a project that you want to build. Let's just say you learned about Vue.js, for example. Right after you learn the basics, you want to pick something like, let's say, a Trello board copycat app. You just look at Trello, you see how it works, and you would like to copy the exact same thing as Trello does. You just pick that, and with the beginner skills that you have, try to apply those. So try to apply those immediately. Use those skills and try to build it, because what you're going to see is that you're going to run into problems. You're going to run into issues that you did not see in the beginner's course, and probably you wouldn't see in the advanced course, because they'll just be teaching you new skills, but not really what you have to go through in order to learn those things. On step number 2, you'll run into problems that will want to make you give up. You'll run into problems that will make you want to stop programming and regret choosing this profession. But that is where you need to keep going, because I assure you that whichever problem that you're having at a beginner level, somebody else already had. And if it's something that is not some obscure specific domain specific technology that you're using, if it's not that, then probably someone already solved the problem that you ran into, or has a workaround for the problem that you ran into, and if you look up online, you will find a solution for it. Or you'll come up with the solution on your own, and once you come up with the solution on your own, the feeling that you'll get after doing that, after spending hours and hours of working on a bug, is just going to make it all worth it, and you'll learn from it. And next time, instead of spending hours and hours, when somebody asks you for the help for that bug, you can solve it in 10-15 minutes. Like that's another really great feeling. But the thing that happens, something really interesting that happens once you're practicing and you're running into problems, is that your brain will remember those things much stronger than if you were to just read it on a book, because you went through all that. You went through all that stuff. So it's going to be ingrained into your memory. So beginner's tutorial, practice. Then step number 3, and the last step, is to improve. So in the last step number 3, you want to take what you've already learned while practicing, take what you've already learned in the beginner stage, and actually just do the cycle again. Because in the improve stage, you want to look into extra documentation. You want to be able to look at the advanced tutorial. This is when you can make improvements to the code that you wrote in the practice stage. So at this stage, you already went through a lot while practicing, so you learned a lot already, but you want to improve, and that's how you're going to keep on learning. So at that point, you can move on and go do the advanced tutorial. You can move on and go read the book on it. And I don't like to read full books from cover to cover without doing any practice. That really isn't going to help you. So if you do find a book that has practical examples that you can apply along the way, that you can learn along the way. If you would like more examples, I wrote an article about this. You can click on the link down in the description and you'll be taken to my blog where I wrote down an article about this, and I give you resources for each of those stages. And if you have any questions, if you like any help with something that you're working on, you can just ask them in the comments. You can just ask them in my blog. I will be happy to help, or at least point you in the right direction if you're working on something. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.